Welcome to episode 1 of MSTR Damage Control. I'm Dan Hillary. I'm down about $3 million peak to trough. And I'm here to just talk about my continued belief in MicroStrategy as a investment. I hold about 60% of my net worth in call options, many of which are synthetic stock at this point because they're deep in the money, but that's not to say I'm still very long. So let's talk a little bit about what I'm thinking, what people are thinking, and points I disagree with and points that I do continue to agree with. And hopefully this will guide you through the darkness. You know, it's been hard, the slow grind down and the hole in the bucket. So let's get into it. Convertible debt is everything going into Q1 2025, in my opinion. Why? Because MicroStrategy's strategy is predicated on leverage, and the convertible debt here is what's going to increase the leverage, increase the BTC per share, and continue to demonstrate their strategy selling fixed income products, which is the bread and butter moving forward. MicroStrategy increased their BTC per share. I think it was between 70 and 75%. What kind of forward-looking multiple do you put on that? That's a big question everyone's trying to answer. Right now, it's very low. Maybe the market doesn't believe MicroStrategy's strategy will continue. We'll see when they come out with more debt. So let's look at Grain of Salt's post. I take inspiration from this. He's talking about converts going out Q1 2025, and he uses a 25% debt to equity ratio. I'm going to use a 25% debt to BTC holdings value just because I think that's more conservative, but it might be the case that MicroStrategy does end up having a 25% debt to equity ratio. What he predicts here is about a $10 billion purchase of converts in 3 months, the $10 billion purchase of Bitcoin with 21 billion in the next 3 months. I think that's totally possible, and let's get into the numbers, and I can show you exactly why. This is my bread and butter. I'm going to include it in the comments of this video. I spent some time on this. I've refined it, and the equations should be very accurate. So November is gone. December is about over. It is over. And what I attempt to do is plot out both ATM and convertible debt issuance. So the ATM, to me, it wouldn't make any sense for him to slow down. I think he'll continue to offer equity at the money, and he's demonstrated his willingness to do so even in December, which has been a lower volume month than November was. He's still issued $6 billion worth of at the market selling, and I know everyone gets all up in arms about the at the market. That's not when the share price is going down. People are taking profits. People are just tax loss harvesting. People aren't that bullish on the stock. Like, that's just how it is. So stop complaining about the at the market selling. Now, calculated debt. This is the really important part. So we've got the month moving forward. We got the Bitcoin stack. This is final for the end of December. Okay, Bitcoin price 96,000. We use that. Capital raise. This is the total capital raised to purchase Bitcoin each month, and the convertible debt in billions is listed here. This is a really important metric, and again, it's the target debt. So right now, MicroStrategy's market capitalization is about 70 billion. Its Bitcoin value is 42.4 billion. Its debt right now is 7.3 billion. And as you can see here, that's with these outstanding convertible debt contracts. This is really important. Furthermore, because all of these contracts should be eligible for conversion, except this one here, the 2031. There's if the stock price continues to stay below $300 a share for the next 10 to 20 days, it may not be eligible, but I would see that as unlikely. So now let's look this is from the 10Ks, or these are from the 10Q, I think the most recent 10Q itself. These are the clauses that allow for redemption in the for this convertible debt, and this is really important. I think a lot of people don't necessarily read this straight from the source, so I'm going to read it to you, and you can listen or skip forward. Before eligible conversion dates and after conditional conversion date, if the last reported sale of Class A stock, not consecutive, during a 30-day period ending on and including the last trading day before the end of the quarter is greater than or equal to 130% of the conversion price of the note, then the holder has the right to convert. So then there's also a kind of the conversion rate of the debt trades for less than 98% of the fair value conversion rate of the debt for 5 consecutive trading days. In the following 5 business days, debt can be converted. That's like a worst case clause. So that is giving the investors the opportunity to convert the debt here. MicroStrategy can redeem all or a portion of convertible notes at its option if the last reported sale price of Class A stock has been 130% of the conversion price of the convertible notes for 20 non-consecutive days within a 30-day period prior to MSTR's announcement for redemption. So what this means is MicroStrategy has the ability anytime to call these notes up for redemption, barring this 130% clause. If the investors want to call it up for redemption, it needs to include the last day of the quarter. These conditions must be met, including the last day of the quarter. And it seems like that could be met, so investors could call these up for conversion. I don't know how the intricacies of convertible debt and the private placement work. I don't know what Saylor's talking to the investors about, so I'm not going to make any speculation, but it seems like both these conditions will be met end of December. That means most these notes should be up for conversion. Okay, what does that mean for debt issuance? Well, it means that it looks like $4.3 billion worth of converts will be wiped off their balance sheet in Q1 2025. I'd be surprised if that didn't happen. Okay, so what does that mean? Well, these are the 25% debt to BTC equity value ratios here based on a gently increasing Bitcoin price that tops out at 220K next September. Okay, those are my price targets. I don't care if you think it's going to 1 million or 500. I hope it does, but these are my actual targets. You can see here I've got the debt to equity ratio, which is self-updating based on the Bitcoin acquisition. It's kind of reflexive. It all depends on the equity raise. And so all of these formulas are based on the equity raises every month. And what I do is set a conservative ATM, which is a 6 increasing to 8 billion monthly ATM, which would be right about on the lower end of November and December. So if that continues and the convertible debt issuance is $3 billion a month, and I think this is actually conservative, but it may be the case. You can see here the calculated debt in billions. So again, this is all predicated on the convertible debt and the at-the-market selling every month. And this is the target debt, 25% of the Bitcoin value based on my Bitcoin price appreciation. So right now, their target debt should be about 10.7 billion. They're sitting at 7.3 billion. 4.3 billion of that will be erased, and they'll be sitting at about 3 billion worth of debt. They're going to have to re-up that and make, I think, a $7 billion purchase here pretty shortly. And I think that will happen in January, maybe February, but I think it will happen in January. I think there's going to be 2 $3 billion offerings in January, or maybe one in January, one in February, to get that back up to around 9 billion in total debt. So that will still, if the price of Bitcoin continues to climb steadily over Q1, that will still make them short in their debt to equity ratio. So they're going to have to continue issuing these convertible debt offerings if the price of Bitcoin continues to climb. And you can see here I have a schedule of 3 billion a month, and then shifting down to 2 billion a month in April for convertible debt offerings. And that only gets them to it essentially underperforms their leverage requirements all spring if the price of Bitcoin climbs. I assume if the price of Bitcoin climbs 200 plus, they won't be levered up to the full 25% of their Bitcoin holdings, because anyone with a brain knows that Bitcoin likes to go up and down. Now, what does that mean for the MNAV and share dilution and Bitcoin per share? So the MNAV, this is fully diluted. So these are the fully diluted shares outstanding, not for November, but starting in December. And so these market caps are fully diluted market caps. Now we're sitting at 1.97 MNAV for fully diluted. And you can see here I have conservative MNAV targets in my mind. And I think 2 fully diluted is just completely outrageous, right? MicroStrategy's demonstrated their ability to acquire Bitcoin per share. The market doesn't believe, like, if you believe MicroStrategy will continue to do this, the stock is mispriced way too low, in my opinion, and I still believe that. Now, what does that mean for share price? Well, it means in the short term, if the MNAV only expands to 2.5 or 2, it's going to take time, and that's what I want to explain with this graph here, is look at the share price, right? If you believe this is kind of the trajectory of the stock, if you think Bitcoin will hit 200K sometime this summer. The MNAV will expand to 3.5. You think my convertible debt targets are realistic and my ATM targets are realistic, which I think are conservative both for the convertible debt and the ATM based on what we've seen with the ambitious 21-21 plan, then following that and these conservative MNAV targets, it's going to 1,000 a share as Bitcoin continues to increase. And so, my conviction in that has not wavered whatsoever. However, it may take longer than anticipated, and I think a lot of really smart traders, again, were able to see this, but it takes time, right? Like, the rate of Bitcoin acquisition here is phenomenal, and it compounds. And that's what I think a lot of us miss, is that this Bitcoin acquisition is compounding slowly over time. And that's what the market misses. They think it's linear. They think MicroStrategy is buying less and less Bitcoin. They think they're tapped out. They're not going to keep doing this. There's a million reasons why the market doesn't believe MicroStrategy can continue doing this strategy. And so I think more so than anything, the edge an investor in MicroStrategy has is time, and time is on your side. But you need to be able to wait and continue holding for those for that compounding to take place. Because right now, MicroStrategy's they're compounding their BTC per share exponentially. And I didn't appreciate that enough. I still don't appreciate that enough. And I don't think most investors appreciate that enough. That's the holy grail. That's what you're getting right now, is the compounded BTC appreciation. Finally, this is the fully diluted share count. This is the assumed share price. So it may take longer than everyone wants, but I still see $1,000 a share. That's always kind of been my base case, is $1,000. Ever since the 21-21 plan, $1,000 has been my base case in the spring, and I still think that's the case. There's my base case. It's $1,000 a share in the spring. There's going to be a lot of convertible debt, I think, Q1, just to up their leverage ratio. Hopefully the volatility, the implied volatility of the options market increases and comes back to life a bit. I think it will. And I don't think the at-the-market selling will stop. The exponential nature of the BTC per share yield is not priced in. S&P 500 inclusion and FASB earnings. FASB earnings are the most simple thing to calculate on the face of the earth. Any investor can do it. S&P 500 inclusion, there's people out there who are more tapped in and will know better than I whether or not it's going to be included. But over long periods of time, will their BTC per share continue to compound? Yes, and I think it will. And ultimately, that's the edge you're trading on. When you buy the stock, you believe they're going to continue this strategy and they're going to continue to outperform their targets for Bitcoin per share yield, and you believe it's a valuable metric. If you believe those things, it's worth holding the stock. Thanks for watching. Talk to you guys next time.